As a teenager I got a girl pregnant. 15 years later I met her and she's the best thing to ever happen to me. When I was a teenager, I dated a girl for a brief amount of time. Nothing can really be said about the relationship except that she broke up with me out of the blue with no explanation. I didn't think much of it and went on with my life. 15 years later, I'm 32 and just found out I have a daughter. Turns out, the reason my ex broke up with me so long ago was because she was pregnant with my kid. She recently got charged with a bunch of substance charges and told the police I could take care of her because I was her dad. I was really surprised and I felt so many emotions all at once. I'm not going to lie, I was mostly skeptical about this whole thing, so I got a paternity test done and the results came back positive. With that, my daughter is coming to live with me now. I don't have any other kids or a partner, so this is going to take a lot of adjusting too. I do have dogs though, so maybe that can be used as a starter bonding moment for us because I don't know how to deal with this. After talking with her social worker, I found out that my ex neglected my daughter, so she isn't going to be used to being taken care of or having structure, which will be a big adjustment for her. She said for her own sake, I have to take things slow. I need to be patient with her and just show her love and support even if she doesn't want it. While all the legal proceedings were still happening, I got a room all ready for her in my apartment. The day I officially had to take her, she was very quiet in the car, and when I showed her the room, she didn't show much of a reaction. I told her that I know this is very new for both of us, so I know it's going to take some time to adjust. She has been through a lot from what I can tell. She's very underweight, and is not used to constantly having meals. I let her know that she could get food from the kitchen whenever she wanted, but that seemed to overwhelm her, so I put a snack bin in her room. I make sure to have all meals at a consistent time so that she knows a meal is going to happen. So far it's working and I can see she's thankful for it. Slowly, her body is getting used to it and she looks somewhat healthy. I've heard her waking up screaming in the middle of the night from nightmares. She hasn't told me what they're about and I don't expect her to yet because I know she doesn't trust me. I have comforted her though, and I'm in the process of finding a therapist for her. On a more positive note, I got her to open up enough to find out some things about her. She loves my dogs and we take them on walks together. She's pretty silent during those walks too, but just spending time with her is enough. She's also smart and loves to read, so I offered to take her to Barnes & Noble to buy some books she'd like to read. She also likes to play basketball, so I bought her a basketball and a small hoop for her room. I want to make her really comfortable here and make her see me as her dad because I already see her as a daughter. Before her, my life was pretty dull, so I have her to thank for bringing some positive change into my life. The process has definitely been tough for both of us, but I wouldn't change it for the world. She's adjusting pretty well to her new life, both personally and academically. She's gotten A's on her tests after being at the school for less than 2 weeks. I have high hopes for her future and hope she can persevere despite all the traumatic things she's been through. She honestly deserves the best the world has to offer. I said I wanted to celebrate her getting those high test scores, so we went out to eat ice cream. It was a beautiful day and honestly a core memory for me. But things took a sad turn when a mother came in with her 2 young daughters. You could just tell the girls were having fun with their mom and all 3 just clearly loved each other. My daughter got really quiet and kept staring at them. I didn't want to pry, so I didn't say anything, and I hoped this would be a moment where she would open up to me about her hardships because it would show that she was finally starting to trust me and letting me into her life. It wasn't until we were on the drive home that she said sometimes it's hard seeing girls have a good relationship with their mom. She said she got jealous because her mom and her never did any of that. She started crying and I tried to reassure her that I was going to give her the love and support she never had. She thanked me but let me know she wanted to be left alone the rest of the night. It was hard seeing her cry, but we made progress that day because it was the first time she had allowed me to see her cry. It is also difficult to know that even though I'm trying really hard to be a good dad to her, she will never know her mother's love. I wish I could fix that, and it sucks that I can't because she didn't deserve to be neglected and possibly abused. 2 months after that, her attitude changed. She was being really rude to me and I wasn't holding that against her. She had a right to be angry, and if she wanted me to be her punching bag, that was fine because anything was better than her bottling her emotions up like she used to do. We got into an argument the other day and she ended up telling me some very personal stuff I'm not going to share, but I will say she had a very rough start to life. I was trying my best to comfort her and it seemed like she was having a panic attack. After she calmed down, we were just sitting in silence and she said,
"You know you're pretty good at the whole dad thing for being a newbie."
I laughed and responded with, "Thank you. Being your dad has been enjoyable." She got quiet again for a while but then spoke up to say,
"Thanks, Dad."
That made my whole year. I love her so much. My wife blindsided me for her boss and kicked me out, so I got revenge doing exactly what the judge told me to do. Over a decade ago, I came home to discover that I was being moved out by my wife. We weren't in a great place, but I was blindsided. I was also served with a protection order that stated I could not come home without prior written permission. I had to go through my wife to see the kids, and it was in effect for 90 days. I was devastated. A relative connected me with a bulldog of a lawyer. This lady was brilliant and no nonsense. She filed a rebuttal to the protection order but told me that these things take time, and we were unlikely to see a judge before the 90 days were up. She was very clear that I must follow the court order to the letter and that if there was any evidence otherwise, I would be in an uphill battle if my wife renewed it. It only took 1 day before my now ex needed me to take the kids. I had crashed at a friend's house, so I had no place to take them. We agreed that I would watch them at home. I waited a few blocks away while waiting for an email. My ex called me, and I reminded her of the details of the order, stating that I wouldn't come until I had permission. This happened twice more within the first week when I waited down the street. So I told her I wouldn't leave where I was staying until I had the email, which was about 20 minutes away. I texted her to remind her. The very next day, she again didn't email. We had planned for me to pick up the kids to take them to school since their school was only a few minutes from my work. However, because I had not received written permission, I ran out of time to drive to pick up the kids and then make it to their school and work. She called, furious that I wasn't there. I reminded her about the permission and explained that I was out of time. As a result, she ended up being very late to work that day. She then wanted to grant me blanket permission to come and go as needed, but my lawyer advised against it. Follow the order. The culmination of this was a few weeks later when she once again forgot to send permission. Her boyfriend was staying over but didn't have his car with him. They both had to get to work, and that was the day I learned that he was her direct supervisor. My ex had to call a friend from work to pick up the kids and take them to school, and the friend found out. Of course, it got out at their workplace. Within a week of that, the boyfriend was fired over their relationship, and my ex was suspended. By this time, I had my own place, so the kids ended up staying with me most days. I later learned that the protection order was the boyfriend's idea. My ex was quite mad about it as it turned into evidence that I wasn't a threat to her or the family, and the judge was quite harsh with her over it when we settled for support and parenting time. She called it intentional and harmful parental alienation. Sucks to suck, doesn't it? Update 1. A decade ago, my then wife, now ex-wife, began a relationship with a guy and kicked me out of my house. The boyfriend was instrumental in blindsiding me and planning on how to keep me from my own kids. Ever since, I've kinda hated him. I've always been polite and respectful with the boyfriend because he'd become my kid's stepdad. But I swore that if ever I had the chance, I'd get back at him. I figured it would be something petty, but then he gift-wrapped my revenge, and I've been running with it for almost 3 weeks now. My kids are mostly grown now, some in university, some in grade school. The university kids live with me while the high school ones still go back and forth with their mom. I'm also remarried now. My wife and I each have our own vehicles, but my wife owns and insures a minivan for when we all go somewhere together. The kids are free to use it too, as only one of them has a car. We only have one set of keys, so I put an AirTag on it. It's a little transponder that tracks its location. I put it on there in case the keys were lost. About 3 weeks ago, one of my older kids took the van out for the night but ended up staying at his mom's on the couch. Around 7 a.m. the next day, another kid asked to use the van. I pinged the AirTag only to find out it was hours away in an industrial section of another town. I was quite concerned about why my kid was out there. I called him up, and he was at his mom's where he said he'd be. He had no idea the van was missing. I called the police and gave them the location of the van. Within 20 minutes, they had stopped the van, and the driver said he had permission to use it. Lo and behold, it's my ex-wife's boyfriend. The police weren't very interested in detaining him as it would be easier for him to just drive the van back to our town, and we could sort it out here. However, it wasn't my van, nor was he listed on the insurance to drive it, so I asked that it be impounded. In Canada, we can't press charges, but I was adamant that this was theft and that I wasn't going to let it go. Since the guy was out of town with no ride, the police did end up detaining him, probably because it was easier. I was given info for the yard where the van was impounded, and since we had the next day off, my wife and I drove out to the yard to pick it up. When we got there, I first checked for any damages since it was sitting a little low. The outside didn't have any problems, but when I checked inside, I found that it was loaded with industrial fasteners and cable, think seismic mitigation. Turns out, the boyfriend used my wife's van to pick up stuff for work. My wife turns on her heels and walks to the office. I had to jog to keep up. She then asks who has access to the van. They say they have the only set of keys, so my wife is assured that only she or I can get access to the van. At this point, I get where she's going with this. I tell them, okay then, make sure you don't give the keys to anyone else if they show up. I had $35 with me, so I gave it to them as a tip. They promised me that no one would get in there, and they actually moved the van into a secured area within the yard. Then we went home without the van. We weren't even home from the long drive when I got the first text from the boyfriend about getting the equipment. I explained that we left the van as there were expenses we were not going to pay like towing, impounding fees, daily storage. I told him that he'd have to pay for them before I pick up the van. He was super mad and swore he would pay me back, but I said no way and hung up. Within an hour, I got a call from his boss. They needed the equipment ASAP for a time-sensitive job. I explained that it was impounded and that I wouldn't have time to get it until next week now. And I wouldn't go unless they paid in advance. The boss swore up and down at me. I calmly explained that I didn't steal a vehicle to transport his stuff. The boss was having none of that, so I said I won't tolerate that abuse and hung up. Then I blocked him and his company on every platform I'm reachable on. That was 3 weeks ago. Since then, I've been able to make excuses every single time the boyfriend tries to arrange picking up the van. Often because the kids don't have the van, so I have to drive them around. The boss has gotten through a few times using other numbers, and sent a ton of emails that I ignore, but I did reply and explain that both my wife and I need about 4 hours to do the round trip, and that it needs to be paid for ahead of time, and that it's added up. $25 a day for secure storage plus towing and impound fees, etc. In addition, I wanted to be paid for the fuel the boyfriend used, as well as our travel. The boyfriend and I agreed on the standard 58 cents per kilometer, and so the boss transferred us for the total cost of our driving. By now, the van has made one trip, and our car has done two. It came to almost $600. So on Friday, it finally happened. My wife and I drove out and picked up the van. It was prepaid and ready to be released. I dropped off a dozen brews at the office when I picked up the keys and went to grab the van. However, I wasn't going to transport their stuff personally, so I arranged for it to be held at the yard at the same rate as a vehicle, unloaded it, and left right before it closed for the weekend. I got a call from the boyfriend asking when he can come by with a work truck to get the stuff. I told him it's still at the impound almost 2 hours away, and that the office opens Monday at 9. There was only silence on the other end, so I hung up after about 10 seconds. Through this, I've been getting vague updates from my ex, who I've got a good relationship with now. She was livid with her boyfriend and was clear with me that any and all consequences were squarely on him. He's kept his job, but is missing the next pay increase and is not getting his year-end bonus. Ex said they're way too short-staffed to let him go, but he's in the doghouse at home and at work. Got him, lol. My girlfriend cheated on me but regrets it now hugely. I had been with this girl for 2 years now and I was madly in love with her. But since the beginning of 2022, we hit a sort of rough patch due to me going through some personal life problems. We weren't getting to meet much, and we were having frequent fights over some petty things. Things kind of took a turn in February, when she went to a friend's wedding where her group of college friends was there, and among them, her ex. To give a bit of context about her ex, he is an absolute C-word of a human being, and is like a walking red flag that everyone should avoid. She had broken up with him long back and even told him why, but whenever he texted, he always reverted back to how they should get back together and he is perfect for her. She eventually had blocked him last year. She unblocked him in early 2022 as she required some guidance from someone who works with AI/ML, and he was the only one. She had informed me too and shown me their texts, and I could immediately see that he was low-key playing the long game to get her back. I told her that he hasn't changed, so she shouldn't get too chummy with him as he is clearly waiting. She said that she felt the same too, but I shouldn't worry as he has zero chance. Cut to February, after she came back from the wedding, I asked her repeatedly if anything happened when they saw each other. They met after 2 years, did he make a scene or did he try to make a move, anything at all? She repeatedly said that nothing happened. It was a bit awkward at the beginning, but then they got to talking and they talked again properly like friends after a long time. They used to be best friends before dating, before she knew what a pathetic guy he is. She said he has changed, and she can trust him, and all they talked about is life and career and all. I believed her. I was already going through a personal crisis and didn't have much energy to pay heed to this. Things started taking a turn when I started noticing that since the return from the wedding, she is talking to her ex way more than she used to. Her college friend group had 4 people, including her and the ex, and they were even planning a trip together. Now, as I have stated previously, we were going through a rough patch, and we seldom talked much in those few months outside of when we were playing together. She was supposed to buy co-op partner for life, and used to fight frequently over petty things. During one of these, I blurted out that I don't like how chummy and friendly she is getting with her ex and I am not comfortable with her going on a trip with her college group of 4 people, as I don't trust her ex or her college friends. She repeatedly said that I need to trust her and that she will cut the ex off if he ever steps out of line, and has even told him so. This kind of went on, as I could see that in spite of me telling her I don't like this new closeness between them, she still refused to do anything about it. The fights escalated a lot. She kept blaming me that I am being insecure and unreasonable, and I kept trying to make her understand that it was not her, it was him I didn't trust to not make a move. And she kept saying that she would make sure that he is gone forever if he even tried. Their trip was cancelled, and it was replaced by him and the other girl from her group coming over to her house for the weekend. On the day of the visit, the girl opted out saying she had an interview, so it was just the ex coming to her house. I instantly felt that this was fishy and that the girl and the ex planned this to get him alone with my girlfriend. But then I felt that I was being unreasonable and overthinking this. Nonetheless, I let her know that I didn't like the turn of events, and she said to not worry, he can't do shit even if he tried as her parents are home. He stayed at her house for the entire weekend and went out to meet their other friends in the city. She took the next Monday off from work because of a sudden plan made on Sunday night. He finally went away on Monday. Throughout this entire time, I tried to stop thinking about it, but I couldn't, and it was driving me crazy that her ex was getting to spend more time with her than I did in the last 2 months. I texted her incessantly initially during the time and asked her a lot of questions. Where was she? What did they do? And it pissed her off. We had a mini fight again, and didn't text much since Sunday evening. Finally, after he went away on Monday, we had another big fight. I told her this was too much for me to take, as I was under tremendous stress at the time, and this added insecurity was getting too much, and so I needed a break. She said that I had no reason to be insecure, and she understands and respects my decision. So we decided to give each other some space. The weekend next to the one above was a public holiday. My girlfriend said that she will go and stay at the other girl's apartment, who dropped out last time, for the weekend, and the ex will also come again, basically the sleepover that they were supposed to have at girlfriend's house. I tried harder to be chill this time around, and trust her. Didn't have any fights. We met up on the Sunday and had a lovely time. I was going away on a trip the next week with my friends, which I badly needed as I really needed to unwind and freshen myself up. We talked it out on Sunday, reaffirmed our love and agreed that this trip would be the cure that we need. The trip worked, I was feeling refreshed. On the day that I returned, I texted her how I can't wait to see her soon and kiss her again. As fate would have it, something unexpected happened. Basically, I found out her Google Photos is logged into on my account, and I went there searching for her funny selfies I used to make stickers out of them, and I came across multiple photos of just her and her ex together, from the wedding. Now yes, it wasn't out of order, clicking photos with guy friends. But what made these stand out is because she had said that they didn't click any photos with just the two of them, that it was all in group, yet here they were, multiple photos, that for some reason, she thought she should hide. Going further, I found few more fishy photos, but which can still be explained away. Until two screenshots that really tripped my alarm. Two screenshots of WhatsApp conversations in which she and her ex refer to each other as babe. For context, I knew for a fact that she never uses baby to refer to anyone unless it's her boyfriend, and she gets uncomfortable of it being used outside of a romantic endearing. I know this because we had a fight some time ago when she saw that this female friend I have referred to me as babe, she uses it everyone, the friend. I decided to confront her. Showed her the screenshots and the photos. To the screenshot of her calling him babe, she said it was a typo. But for the one in which he calls her, she said that yeah he still does that. I asked her if he addressed the other girl as babe too, and she said that no, it was just her. So basically, in my mind, I have been telling you to keep your distance from him, and you kept saying that everything is fine, and all along there has been blatant proof that proves me right and you consciously hid it. I broke up then and there. I understand that I have been referring to her as girlfriend all this time, when it really should be ex-girlfriend, apologies for that. What followed after this was a roller coaster of reveals. She kept lying and getting caught, and to cover it up, she lied more and it spiraled out of hand. It started from her saying there was nothing from her side, to yes she did flirt a little and reciprocate his advances lightly, to they made out but she didn't want intimacy and he forced himself upon her at the wedding but failed, and again took advantage of her when they got drunk at the friend's apartment, to finally revealing that there has been full-blown cheating since January, when they had flirted and said dirty things on chat, had planned the trip to have intimacy, had been talking about breaking up with me, and had intimacy at her house as well as her friend's house. Throughout all this, she has stuck to the point that he forced himself upon her at the wedding though. She admitted that she had done a horrible mistake. Her version of the story is that she has deep-seated issues, which were also compounded by the manipulation by the ex and the college friends. Me and her had a clash over marriage, as I don't believe in marriage, coming from a broken household myself, and I told her that we need to be together and know each other and build our relationship for at least 5 years before we can think of marriage. She on the other hand, wanted to get married, and my words apparently made her start having second doubts. This compounded by the fact that I don't have a stable family apparently racked up her insecurities and overthinking. And since we were also going through a rough patch in early 2022, she was already pretty vulnerable. And that is when the ex and the friends came into the picture. They repeatedly kept telling her that she would be way better off with him as he is ready to marry her within 2 years, has a good family, and also, in their words, with me she is just a gamer girl when she could be so much more, and that I am dragging her down. Apparently, she even asked the other girl to not leave her alone with her ex because she doesn't want to make a mistake. And she also suffered from huge FOMO, so she kept listening to what they tell her to do so that she can still be in the group. Anyhow, some more stuff happened after the breakup. I told all her school friends, who are genuinely good people and I know will actually help her. She realized how badly she has messed up and how badly she was manipulated. She has cut the entire group off and has started taking therapy. She is a mess now, depressed and crying all the time. So anyways, it's been 2 months now since the breakup. We are in different cities. But we'll be in the same city again soon. She keeps saying that she knows how badly she has messed up. But she still loves me and can't bear to lose me, but also understands there is a lot of damage done here. So she says that that's why she wants to heal through therapy and get better and change, and asked me to give her a chance to at least regain the trust, and see if she is changing and getting better, and if I feel like yes she has changed, to at least give things another shot, even if it's years from now.